Hello my dear students, good morning. Muskan, where is your smile? What is the problem? Right, you are not able to cope up. I am there for you, don't worry. See, I am going to tell you a method to revise regularly. You eat 3 meals a day, isn't it? That's very good. Eat the balanced diet, keep it up. Now, 1 meal, 1 question, right? Learn 1 question per meal of science every day. So, that makes 3 questions for 1 day. Right? Now, in 1 month, just calculate it. It's just simple calculation for you. In 1 month, if you learn regularly, then you will have, yes, 3 into 30, that is 90 questions in 1 month. And for 3 months, you will have 270 questions. That can make you a topper. Okay? Yes, now your smile is back. Very good. Mohit and Shobit, what is troubling you? Okay, you didn't score well in the previous chapter also. Yes, you can ask. Okay. In the previous chapter, we learnt about the consequences of deforestation, right? So, that troubled you a lot, I suppose. The question to learn, right, I will make it for you. How to learn the answer? Now, we learned that because of deforestation, what are the consequences? What are the harmful effects? They were disastrous effects. So, for example, you have increase in the global warming, increase in the temperature of the earth. So, that is I. Take the I from that. So, that is increase in the level of carbon dioxide resulting in increase in the global warming. Then you have P. What are we moving to? I am moving to IPL. Yes, it is your own IPL. So, you have pollution level. The pollution will increase because we are cutting the oxygen factories, that is trees. Nobody else can make oxygen for us. Then you have L, that is less rainfall. After that, you have DDG, that is deserts, desertification of the soil. Then there will be droughts. If there is less rainfall, there will be droughts. And G, that is, yes, the ground water level is going to get lowered. So, you have the answer, that is IPLDDG. That is your answer. This way you can learn very easily. Now, we are going to start with the new chapter, that is cell structure and function. Now, my dear students, let's go on a journey to see how the cells were discovered. In the year 1665, Robert Hooke took his simple magnifying glass and looked at some cork cells from the bark of the tree. So, he took the cells, the dead cells from the bark of the tree, that is the cork cells, and observed under a simple microscope. That was his magnifying glass. Yes, that is the time to role play. All of you can also do that in the imaginary world, of course. So, if you have a magnifying glass and you look at the small insects around you, for example, an ant. So, if you have a very high power magnifying glass, then what do you see? An ant the size of a cat, that is magnification. And what is that? A dinosaur? No, it is a wild lizard. It is all thanks to magnification. So, because of these very highly advanced microscopes, we are able to see the cells that we study nowadays. Now, it is very important to know whether we can see the cells without a microscope or not. Yes, Mohit?
Ma'am, can we see the cells without a microscope?
Yes, of course we can see. We can see the cells without microscope also. Some of the cells are very, very small. Of course, for that you require microscope. But you can see the big cells also. For example, the hen's egg. The hen's egg is one single cell. At the outer covering, there is a calcium carbonate shell, and inside there is the white colored part, that is albumin. Then you have the yellow colored part, that is yolk, and in the center there is nucleus. So, that is one single cell. So, one egg is one single cell. Now, when we discuss the structure of the cell, then we know that in the structure of the cell there are different parts. And when we discuss about the different parts, first you have to know what is the structural unit of a living organism. Have you seen a building, how it is made? Yes, lot of bricks are brought. Then one by one, all the bricks are laid. In between, the cement is there. All the bricks are attached and you have a one great wall. Yes, similarly, all the plants and animals also have cells. Now, what Robert Hooke observed was the cork, and he saw very small boxes, honeycomb like structures, and they were very small rooms like structure. So he coined the term cell. The meaning of the cell is a small room. So he said the cells are just like very small rooms connected to one another as the bricks are connected to one another in a building. Right? Now, what are we studying? Yes, I told you that plants and animals are made up of cells. So, we are made up of cells, studying about cells in a cell. Right? Cell is a room. So, we are sitting in a room, that is a cell. We are made up of cells and we are studying about cells. I think it is very, very clear. So, because the cell is the structural unit of all the living organisms. How we can compare that? As a brick is the structural unit of a building, similarly, the cell is a structural unit of life. Why do we say that? Because the structure of all the plants and animals are made up of cells. Now children, organisms show a great variety on the basis of the number of cells, the shape of cells and the size of cells. Now when we discuss about the number of cells, I have again questions for you that will be very interesting. Shekhar, can you tell me how many cells are present in your body? I am giving you a hint, very, very large numbers.
Ma'am, is it 1.5 million?
Okay, 1.5 million, that's great. Rakesh, any idea?
2 billion.
2 billion, very good. Right. Now, human body has trillions and trillions of cells. And I have to give full marks to both of you. Very, very, very happy. Why? Because really I can't count them at all, isn't it? Because every day some old cells die and some new cells are formed. So approximately we say that all the bigger animals have billions and trillions of cells. On the basis of the number of cells, we can divide the organisms in two categories. Number one, unicellular organisms, and number two, multicellular organisms. Uni means one. So all the organisms which are made up of only one single cell are known as unicellular organisms. A very good example, that is amoeba. Multi means many. So all the organisms which have lot of cells, which are made up of many cells, are known as multicellular organisms. For example, plants and animals. So we are multicellular, have lots and lots of cells. Do you think that there will be any difference between the unicellular and multicellular cells? Basically, it depends upon the function that they perform. In fact, you should know that the multicellular organism also starts its life as a single cell. But the only difference is that it continues to multiply and then it becomes a very big plant or an animal. But life starts from a single cell, whether it is unicellular or multicellular. Now, the simple example that we discussed of amoeba, it is of great interest because amoeba is one single unicellular organism, but it is able to do all the functions that a multicellular organism can do. Yes, that single cell of amoeba can eat food, digest food, can exchange the gases, can excrete the waste and can move on, can play just like you and me. Whereas to do all these activities, we have so many types of cells, so many types of tissues, organs, etc. So it does not matter at all whether the unicellular organism has one cell and multicellular organism has so many cells. So there is no difference between the functions.
Ma'am, are cells of unicellular and multicellular organism different?
Yes, basically the unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms have the cells so that all the life processes can be conducted. So basically the cell type depends upon the functions that the organism has to perform. My dear homie, can you name two unicellular organisms other than amoeba?
Bacteria and paramecium.
Very good. Excellent. Good knowledge. Keep it up. It's going to help you in the exams, right? Now we discuss the shape of the cells. Many of the cells have fixed shape, but some of the organisms like amoeba have no fixed shape. It keeps on changing its shape, isn't it? So you can draw amoeba as you like. It is so simple. You don't have to remember anything, right? I can draw it in the air also. You can also draw it. So just move your hand like this. It should be a closed curve, that's it. And put a dot in the center, that is a nucleus. That is your amoeba. So it is so simple. There is cytoplasm, the liquid inside the amoeba, and then you have just put a dot, that is nucleus, and it has cell membrane. Now amoeba is hungry. There is a food particle near amoeba. So now what is amoeba going to do? It's not having any hands, isn't it? So it is going to drag its cytoplasm in that direction in the form of temporary extensions. It is going to capture the food like this. When the food particle is captured, then the food particle is going to go into the cell. So this way amoeba has taken its food with these temporary extensions, which we call as pseudopodia. Yes, a very fancy word, isn't it? Pseudo means false and podia means feet, because they are not permanent. So with the help of the pseudopodia, the amoeba can trap the food and eat it. Then if amoeba wants to move in a particular direction, again these temporary extensions called pseudopodia are developed in that particular direction. So it appears as if it has 2 feet and it is moving on those 2 feet, but actually they are not feet. What are they? They are, yes, they are the temporary extensions which we call as pseudopodia. So amoeba is able to move as it likes, not like us, where we have to see whether we want to walk in a particular direction or not. Now we come to some cells in our body also which can change their shape. Yes, it is true. In our body we have white blood cells. The white blood cells are able to change its shape. They are able to change their shape, but they are cells, and amoeba is one full organism. That is a major difference. Now we can also appreciate the shape of the cells and their function. As I told you, the shape of the cell is correlated to the function that it performs. For example, the red blood cells. The red blood cells in our body, what is their function? Yes, they take oxygen because of the red pigment hemoglobin. Now they have to run continuously, they can't stop, otherwise the blood will stop. So they have to run continuously throughout the body to give oxygen to each and every cell of your body. And you counted it right, that is 1.5 billion or 2 billion, just imagine. So red blood cells have to continuously run. So they are spherical in shape. When you kick a ball, what do you see? The speed is very, very high, that's right. So the RBCs and the blood cells, they are spherical in shape, so that they can move very large distances in very less time, and they are able to reach all of your cells to give you oxygen. And take a deep breath. Yes, oxygen gives you energy. Now you can study more. Now we come to the second type of cell, that is the muscle cell. The muscle cells are like elastic, you can stretch it. When you move your hand like this, that means the muscles here are stretching. So they are stretchable, they are pointed at the 2 ends, they have spindle shape and they are stretchable. So the shape is related to the function that they have to perform. And now we come to a very, very important cell, that is the nerve cell, or we call it as a neuron. Neurons are very long fibers, they are just like electrical wires, because they have to send messages throughout the body. Yes, from the brain to all the parts of the body, and from all the parts of the body back to the brain. So the speed of the messages should be very, very fast, and the shape of the neuron is just like electrical wires. So the neurons are the longest cells in our body, because they have to transfer the messages at a very, very high speed. So now you can understand that the shape of the cell is related to the function that it has to perform. Highest form of engineering, I suppose. Now the shape of the cell is fixed by its outside membrane. In case of the animal cells, we call it as cell membrane. The other name for that is plasma membrane. But in case of the plant cells, they have one more covering, we call it as cell wall. Because the plant cells, they want protection from the environmental factors. You can come inside when it rains or when it is very, very hot. But you see that the plants have to stand outside only. So that is why they have one more wall, which we call as cell wall, and it is made up of cellulose. It gives protection to all the plant cells. Now students, we will discuss the size of the cells. Yes, as we know that some of the cells are very, very small, most of the cells are very, very small, and we have to use the microscope. So we can say the smallest cell, that is in a bacteria, and that is 0.1 to 0.5 micron. Yes, the smallest cells are measured in the very, very small units, that is the micron. And there may be bigger cells also. For example, the largest cell is that of ostrich egg, and it measures 170 millimeter into 130 millimeter. So, that is the largest cell. As I told you, one single egg is one single cell. So, we can see that huge cell. Now, the size of the cell is not related to the size of the animal. For example, we cannot say that the size of the elephant's cell is bigger than the size of the human cell. It is not related, right? So, the animal can be very, very big because large number of cells. It may be very, very small, but because of less number of cells. But the size of the cells must not make any difference when we talk about the size of the animal. Now, we also know that in multicellular organisms, for example, why to talk about other animals? We can talk about the human beings. Now, in case of the human beings, when we say that we are multicellular organisms, then we have cells. Now, group of cells which perform a particular function, they are known as tissues. Tissues come together to do a specific function, we call them as organs. And many organs again work together, and that is known as organ system. And what is an organism? It is a collection of all these different organ systems. For example, digestive system, respiratory system, skeletal system, muscular system, isn't it? So, all these systems basically are able to function properly because of this division. So, you have the cells, which is the structural and functional unit, right? Because the cell is responsible for doing all the functions that we see in a body. So, first you have the cells, then tissues, then organs, and then organ system. And collection of organ systems is referred to as an organism. Rohit, now I hope you have understood what is a tissue. Can you give me the answer? What is a tissue?
They are group of cells performing similar function.
Yes, very good. That was absolutely right. That means you were very, very attentive. Paying attention while you are studying is a very, very good quality. I hope you have understood all the things that we have studied, and I hope you revise. As I told you, I gave you the formula, I gave you a methodology how to revise properly. Remember, 3 questions a day are going to make you perfect. So, all the best for MCQs. See you in the next module. Now, students, let's summarize what we studied in this module. Cell was first discovered in 1665 by Robert Hooke. A cell is the smallest unit that is capable of performing all the processes that define life. Cells are basic structural units of life. The single-celled organisms are called unicellular organisms. Organisms made of more than one cell are called multicellular organisms. The largest cell is an ostrich egg, and the longest cell in animals is a nerve cell. The smallest cell is of a bacteria. Single cell of unicellular organisms perform all basic functions performed by a variety of cells in multicellular organisms. A group of similar cells performing a specific function is called a tissue. Group of tissues form an organ. A group of organs make an organ system. Many organ systems form an organism. And now, my dear children, to watch the next video, please attempt the following questions. Question number 1. Projections of varying length protruding out of the body of amoeba are called A. cilia, B. pseudopodia, C. flagella, D. none of these. Question number 2. A group of similar cells performing a specific function is called A. tissue, B. organ, C. organism, D. organ system. Question number 3. The cells which receive and transfer messages in the body: A. muscle cells, B. nerve cells, C. bone cells, D. skin cells.